So, to get his coach coming back out.
From the Arkansas Sports Network, it's an in-depth Arkansas Razorbacks podcast featuring the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Brad Caldwell.
When I grew up, I remember the Quinn Grovey days where the SWC champions in 88 and 89. I mean, that was the time that I grew up. That's the time that I got hooked on Razorbacks.
Around here, we call him the Rain Man of Arkansas Razorback Sports, Mr. Duran Miller.
Real quick, speaking about going down to Baton Rouge, and all the corn dogs and all that nature. But y'all remember the time Bobby Boucher intercepted the quarterback and his pants fell off?
And finally, he wears his hair upside down and he pushes all the buttons, Mr. Bill Harshaw.
When you look at the Razorback athletic program across the board, Hunter Yurichek's got this thing moving in the right direction because these kids are looking at Arkansas athletics going, hey, Arkansas is the place to be, and we haven't had that in a while.
Everyone get ready, because you're now connected to the RazorWire.
Hello, welcome to the RazorWire. Brad Caldwell, Duran Miller here as we bring you another live show from the Old Bank Sports Bar and Grill here in Russellville. We are always glad to have them a part of what we're doing. It has been, it's been a lot of fun. We've been doing a lot of things lately. Yeah. If you joined us last week, we were live for the signing of Joseph Pinion. Kane and Sandy joined us here. Yep. And that was a great time. I know that that was special to you. I don't want you to get you crying here, so we won't talk a lot about that.
Right.
But Duran Miller obviously joining me here today. Duran, again, It's good to have you around.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. What he's alluding to is my brother has Down syndrome, so Kanan's always a special thing when I see him and get to talk to him. Guy after my own heart for sure. Big Razorback fan. My brother's the same way, and so that's always a special time. But yeah, that was a fun atmosphere that day at Morrilton.
Yes.
Getting to see Pinion sign and him coming up and talking to us, and just really humble. Just loved his interview, and just a lot of fun. And getting to be here at the Old Bank every week, and the hospitality they've shown us has just been really great, and it's been exciting.
Yes, it has. It's been pretty awesome here at the Old Bank. We've been here now for about 2 months. Of course, we've been a little bit in and out, doing different things, going to the Joseph Pinion signing, and then, we went to just doing some of the live games of the week that we've done. Last week, we were at War Memorial Stadium where Parkview and Searcy were battling it out, and that Searcy just wasn't able to handle what Parkview had for them, and so we kind of stay a little bit busy, and sometimes we don't make it back here to the Old Bank, but anytime that we get a chance to be over here, we're here, and so we do appreciate it. We want you guys to share this out with your friends. Let them know that you're watching the RazorWire right here on YouTube and on Facebook. We do appreciate anybody that is watching right now. You got a chance to share that out to those hog groups?
Yeah, a few of them. Getting some more done right now as we speak.
All right, so we're going to try to get that shared out again. The Razorback Nation definitely has we have I don't know, we have a soft spot in our heart for them because they have brought us in with them. We do appreciate
awesome.
them. But anyway, we want to get right to hog talk and hot off the razor wire. Big Andrew Chamblee, big Razorback commitment from Maumelle, Arkansas, has decided or has committed to playing in the U.S. Army All-American Bowl. Now, when I look at that bowl game, Duran, to me, that bowl game is a little bit more prestigious than even the Under Armour game.
Right.
It was the first one. It was kind of like the very first one out there as far as like McDonald's All-American. It kind of reminds me of that type of game. Played on NBC just after the turn of the year. I think January 8th, if I'm not mistaken, is what they put out there in San Antonio at the Alamo Dome. So big time for Arkansas as well as Andrew Chamblee, because you're getting a guy that is considered to be one of the best in the entire nation having a chance to play at that All-American game.
Right, and he is a big timer. We've gotten a chance to interview him a few times and be around him and do some of his games here and there. He was on our Primetime Preps podcast we did last fall during football season, and just every time we talk to him, he impresses me when we get to hear what he has to say. And he's just one of those guys that, to me, I'm one of these believers that if Pittman is recruiting you to play O-line, you're the real deal. You're either a diamond in the rough that he 100% knows that you've got the tools that he can, get you whipped into shape to be something that's going to help him, or a guy like him that's obviously, 4-star and everybody in the country basically wants him. He basically could have went anywhere he wanted. Those guys, I'm really excited about because Pittman knows what he's doing when he's looking at an offensive lineman for sure.
Yes, he does. And, Arkansas's offensive line from each year that Pittman's been here so far has stepped up even just one year after the next. And you've got some guys, younger guys in there that really have the body build that Sam Pittman wants.
Yes.
Chamblee fits that body build, big, just massive guys. Marion Harrison, another one that we looked at. Marion Harrison, 6'7", 307 pounds, but can move. Another thing that I was so impressed by him was his actual ability to move, and they were pulling him from the tackle spot, different things like that.
Nice.
I mean, he's a large man, and of course it's funny with him because you can tell he probably doesn't want to hurt some of these people that he's having to block. Guys that are 150 to, even close to 200 pounds lighter than he is. He just kind of, pushes them out, But I'd like to see him against a guy that he felt like might challenge him. But, Alabama offered that kid. So there's another guy there, along with Chamblee, that has the ability to come in and make an impact at some time in his career. You really don't want offensive linemen coming in and playing very early. It's either one of two things. The only Razorback lineman that I remember that come in and make an early impact was Sean Andrews.
Yeah.
Other than that, if you're having to play linemen as freshmen, you probably just don't have enough people.
Right. You don't either you don't have enough or they're not that good, and that's kind of what happened when Dan Skipper and Denver Kirkland came in as freshmen.
Yeah, and those are two that did make an impact.
Right, and they made an impact because they're really good, but it was also they were building it at that point. You know, they were Pittman. I think that was year 2 when they came in, or was that year 1? I think that was year 2.
Yeah.
And they started as freshmen.
No,
he put them at guard.
Year 1. No,
I think it was 2.
It was
yeah.
2. You're right. It was
And,
the first recruiting class.
Right, full one. And so yeah, he gets them in there and makes them play guard just to get them on the field because they were so talented. And yeah, you're right about the body build that he's wanting. You know, I always go back to.
It was year 1, by the way.
Was it?
It
okay.
was because what happened, this is the same year that Alex Collins came in, and the reason Collins came here is because he was being recruited by Bielema at Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I remember all that.
So,
right, I know Kirkland and him came the same year. That's right. So good catch there. Yeah, but it always makes me go back to like Sebastian Tretola. We've talked about that before.
Yes.
That's what Harris reminds me of a little bit. You know, Tretola was listed at like 355 when he came in, but they said he was probably like 380 when he really got on campus. And it took him a little bit, but they got him whipped into shape. And of course, he's one of the only linemen I know to throw a pass for Arkansas,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
And he had a little bit of Heisman campaign going there for a little while. I love Tretola, but these guys that we have right now that they talked about, and they've gotten to play a little bit here and there, like St. Brown and Jalen
St. John.
Jalen St. John and what's the other big guy? I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but you know who I'm talking about. But those guys have got it, and right now they're getting beat out by some upperclassmen like Latham that's a smaller guy, and Limmer, but those guys bring it every play. And but as we move forward in the progression, we're going to see more of those body tops take over, and they're already playing really good, and I cannot wait to see what this is going to look like next year and a couple years more down the road.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and anytime you're good on the offensive line, you give yourself a chance.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
You give yourself a chance to be good, and I mean, when you look at a guy like KJ Jefferson, we're going to talk about him here coming up in just a little bit. When you can block for him, you have a great opportunity to be good on offense because he is showing that he can do it. But you can't be a good quarterback if you don't have people blocking.
Exactly.
You know, it doesn't matter how good you are, John Elway, Joe Montana, whoever it is. You know, Peyton Manning. I mean, you just go down the line here.
Well,
you're not going to be very good if you can't block.
Yeah, just look at within ourselves here. Austin Allen, as soon as Pittman leaves, you know, he starts that season off just doing good things, and then we slowly start seeing him get hit more and more. And I mean, he was never the same guy after that. The next year, the line was even worse. That was Bielema's last year, and we lose to TCU early in the year at Fayetteville. You know, and it just got worse and worse from there. But that's a good example of it right there. That, you know, if you ain't got the line, you're not going to do anything special. And
if you ain't got the line, you ain't got the time.
Right.
For sure.
And that's why getting Pittman. That's okay. So I was going to say this a minute ago, just reminded me. But it's Bama week, so you know, if you go back to that first year, they lost to Bama. I think it was 52-0.
Yes.
And the next year, we lost by 1 point.
Yep.
The biggest difference in that team was, honestly, to me, was the offensive line play. The offensive line play was so much better in year 2, and it gave us a shot to be in that game.
Don't get ahead of yourself, though.
Right.
Don't get ahead of yourself. So let's move on there. Grant Morgan is a finalist for the Burlesque Trophy. I mean, I don't know how they decide this, but you would think last year he was the same thing. Finalist for the Burlesque Trophy.
Right.
I think he finished second. You got to think he's got to win this thing at some point. Just being a Razorback should help him, right?
Yeah, it's almost like they pick those things against the Razorbacks because they don't want to be like, oh, it's a Razorback, you know, kind of like the Brules Award as well. Yeah, you would think so. I mean, his numbers aren't what they were last year. They're still really good. He's still top 3, you know, on the team in tackles and top 10 in the SEC. But they might be down just a hair, but man, what he brings to the team and lining the guys up and his leadership and what he does is just phenomenal. And they were talking about it a little bit this week. You know, I think Bumper Pool was talking about it at the Catfish Hoe. You know, it's basically a race for those guys. You know, usually there's only 2 of them in at a time, linebackers. So if Pool's in and Henry's beside him, or if Morgan's beside him, or those 2 are in, it's like a race. Who gets to the ball carrier first? And it's like you got to beat the other guy out, or they're going to get the tackle. It's pretty impressive.
As Razorbacks, we haven't had this kind of linebacking core in a long time. You've had some guys come through. Martrell Spade is a guy that comes to my mind.
Greenlaw.
Yeah, Greenlaw comes to my mind. But just as far as just having an actual core of linebackers, Arkansas has not had 3 linebackers to play this well since Caleb Miller, Jermaine Petty, and Tony Boone. Those are the 3 that come to my mind. Maybe somebody can tell me a little bit more, but for me, those are the guys that come to my mind. Hit the share button, hit the like button. Let us know that you're watching right here on the Razor Wire. We want your predictions as well. We'll give you a prediction at the end of the show here about what we think is going to happen against Alabama. Duran might be crazy enough to pick Arkansas to win this one. I'm not going to pick Arkansas to win this one. Maybe you think Arkansas can win this one, so make sure that you let us know here in the comments about that. Also, again, make sure that you're sharing. And again, if you have any questions or comments that you'd like us to share here on the show, please let us know here.
Yeah,
so we're going to move right along here, and let's go right into the LSU victory.
Right.
And one thing, Duran, to me is I know that LSU didn't have a great record, but that program there has always got good players. They've always got physical players, and really this is a very, very much an underachieving team. Of course, LSU's bugaboo throughout the years has always been quarterback play. Always been quarterback play. When they have a good quarterback, they're just about unbeatable. You go back to 2019. I mean, that might have been the best college football team ever with Joe Burrow there. Of course, you're seeing what Joe Burrow's doing at Cincinnati now.
Right.
He's bringing them out of the muck and the mire, and so he's a very good quarterback. And so, anyway, with that being said, they don't have the quarterback play now. I do think Nussmeier can be a good quarterback for them.
Yeah.
But overall, you still got studs at receiver. You got studs at running back. You got studs on the offensive line, and that defense is still very good. And one thing that I want to point out, and I'm sure you can touch on this, is that game that we played LSU was basically the same game that was played the week before against Alabama, LSU and Alabama, which gives some people some hope. Again, don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah.
But give us some thoughts on that win against LSU.
Yeah, I mean, I was frustrated at times with the offense because it was like you were watching a replay of the Alabama game, and you had a week to look at what they're going to do. Now I know talking about what they're going to do and actually getting your guys to line up and do what you're asking them to do and making those blocks. Linebacker, I mean, and LSU was talented, like you were talking about, man. Their linebackers are really good. And but I felt like we struggled in the hot route. We struggled a little bit with how we were calling plays to run to where the blitz was coming from. I didn't see enough hot route kind of stuff. I didn't see enough tight end crosses or, fill in the spot where that guy's coming, because they were blitzing that weak side a lot. And Pittman talked about it this week in his pressers about, they knew what was coming and they had stuff set up, and they ran a couple screens a couple times. It doesn't get blocked up, and if it gets blocked up, we miss a linebacker here or there on the Burks one, and they ran one to Rocket Sanders, and we're a block away from busting those plays wide open. And once you do that, the defense stops running that zero coverage that they're running, and because they don't want to give up big plays like that. So we couldn't do that though. We couldn't make them adjust. And they made us pay for it. So we struggled. And if it wasn't, we did make them pay for it at times, but that was just because KJ went to another level. I mean, I said this during the game to you and Bill in our little chat that, man, I mean, to me, KJ looks like Ben Roethlisberger. He looks like Big Ben out there, just bouncing off of people. Of course, he's faster, but just if he doesn't take that game over the way he does, we lose probably by 2 scores, and just. You got to give the defense credit. They played really well overall. That one touchdown, Nussmeier, just we should have sacked him. He just threw it up and made a great play. Give him some credit. But the defense really was awesome. Mo Brown, man, couldn't have played better. Greg Brooks had some big plays, except for when he lined up off sides. That one drove us a little nuts. But he had that first pick. And but the Mo Brown one, man, did you not get a little bit of the Material Richardson flashback right there? Even though we had to go score. And we didn't.
Very similar play.
But very similar. I was waiting for for Brown to do the whole shush up thing on the sideline, you
That
know.
would've been awesome.
And I was doing it in my living room, but he didn't do it. He left me hanging there. But yeah, I had my parents over watching, and it was a good time. Good time.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm trying to get this shared out here. Again, make sure that you share this out. Let everybody know that you're watching. We had a lot of watchers last week.
Yeah.
With the Joseph Pinion
Oh,
signing.
it was big.
Anyway, it was a big week for Arkansas, really a big weekend for Arkansas, because you had a Hog basketball victory, you had the Hog football victory, and then you had Nick Smith Jr. going ahead and signing that letter of intent, which I know a lot of people were worried about there. And, you know, we have touched on this for quite a while here on this show. This is episode 26, by the way. So that means that we've been doing this exactly for half a year. I think we might have missed 1 week or 2 weeks inside that. So
somewhere in there,
we've been doing
yeah.
this for 6 months now.
Yeah.
But anyway, I keep touching on this. It's just been so good to be a Razorback fan.
Yeah.
For what, you know, really from the start of last year to now.
Yeah, and baseball was incredible. Of course, we didn't, you know, we know what happened, how it ended, but they ran into the worst team at the worst time, to be honest with you.
Right.
And if it not for COVID, I honestly think they might be the champs right now. But yeah, man, it's been a blast. Basketball, we go to the Elite Eight, so I mean, we're starting a new season in that. And of course, when we started I believe basketball was wrapping up about when we started. I know baseball was getting going heavily, but so I mean, it's been so much fun. All the groups, and then of course the football season, you know, is just the best we've had. And honestly, if we beat Bama or not, the Missouri game's looking like a good opportunity to get a win there.
Yes.
If you can do that, if you can go take care of business in your bowl game, if you can get 2 more wins, basically what I'm saying is, it is the best season since 2011. Bielema's best year was 8-5, and that was a bowl game that got them to that victory against Kansas State in the Liberty Bowl. So, you know, I feel like we have an opportunity to even do better than that.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, you're on pace right now for a good chance at 8-4.
right.
You know, right now the ESPN FPI has Arkansas as a 7% chance to win that game against Alabama.
Yeah.
Which, you look at it one way, then you look at it and say,
Don't get ahead
well,
of
that's
yourself.
probably the best chance we've had in a long, long time.
Right, true.
You know,
Very true.
You know, Arkansas has got a much better team. I think that we can all establish that. We talked about that.
Yeah.
That mysterious episode 16
Right.
is actually on this computer.
Is it on that one?
I believe it is.
Yeah, I had so what I kept starting to feel with all the Kool-Aid talk in summer during two-a-days was I had a big vibe that this team was a lot like the 98 team, which doesn't necessarily mean that I have to say we're 9-3. That's what
Right.
I did go with. But, you know, I just felt like they were coming from a season that were, you know, we were 3-7 last year, and the COVID season was all SEC games, which I felt like that was a lot more impressive than people realize.
Yeah.
And we really were a couple blown calls away from 5-5,
And a field goal away from 6-4.
yeah, the Missouri game, So, anyways, I felt like we had that. What I really liked was how we had a leader at every level of the defense, especially, you know, because we had Catalan, you had Morgan, and then on the line you had who was it? It wasn't Ridgeway or the Trey Williams or none of those, but we had a lot of those guys coming in, so they were kind of leaders. So, I guess it was. But, anyways, my point being is I had a
Guess who you're looking for.
yeah, exactly.
Jonathan Marshall.
Well, he was gone, but I was talking about this season coming
yeah.
in, right? So that was the big question I had. The biggest question on the defense was who we were going to place, and Ridgeway's done, I mean, a phenomenal job. But Trey Williams, I knew he was going to be good, but I didn't expect the Trey Williams we got. That's the biggest difference, because last year we couldn't get on pressure.
Like, how is that?
Yeah, I mean, he did at times, but then he was in and out of the starting lineup, and that blows my mind, man. That guy's a beast. I truly think he's going to be a second, third, fourth kind of round kind of guy, and has an opportunity to do some things in the NFL.
Speaking of that, you're starting to see these guys show up in mock drafts. I think we all know that Burks is done. He's not going to be here next year. He's first-round pick. I don't think Sam Pittman would let him come back.
Yeah, I don't know.
With the risk of injury.
I know what you're saying, though, yeah.
And all that, unless the NIL money is just really, really, really good.
Right.
Which
Let's
is a
go.
whole different dynamic in that. We can talk about that with basketball because Burks doesn't fall into this. But with football, Burks is gone. On John Ridgeway, is a guy that everybody's kind of talking about. Well, will he come back? He's got an opportunity to come back, and he accepted a invite to the Senior Bowl, so he will not be coming back now. He is definitely on his way out. Guy that came from Illinois State, came to the SEC, made his way here, got a chance to play, and now he's showing up at the mock drafts. I think Trey Williams is as well. So you're seeing these guys, and the move that they've done has paid off for them to move to Arkansas. So that, and I think helps Arkansas.
Exactly.
Because, again, you're going to look for guys to fill some holes in the transfer portal.
You're definitely going to have a few that you're going to find out. That it all goes back to the numbers game with basically all our commitments right now, which I think is at 20, I want to say. They're kind of full right now because of the rules on how many you can take overall. And but it's all going to come out with the transfers. How many's going to transfer, and that's going to leave some room here to pick up a couple more and to find some transfers of our own. We definitely, I think we'll do that again. And like you said, I agree that having these guys have success coming in and doing it for 1 year, especially a guy like Ridgeway that comes out of an Illinois State, a non-FBS team, is really, really bodes well that they, other guys are going to see that. They came here and had success. They loved it. Most of them, from the vibe I get from all of them, having just a great time. And so I think that's going to help us out big time moving forward.
I think you're exactly right. Let's go
I do want to shout out to a couple Facebook people real quick. I don't have any comments, but I got a lot of people watching. We got David Bryant, Norman Hunt, Kathy Finley, Tommy Bean. Thank you all for watching. And if you got any questions you want to ask us,
absolutely,
just write them in the comments, and we'll try to answer those for you.
That's right. So let's wrap the LSU win up.
Yeah.
Arkansas gutted that win out, very much so. I mean, they battled LSU from start to finish. When it looked like LSU might, when Nussmeier hit that pass in the back of the end zone, I thought, oh, Lord, here we go. But, they really battled it out.
Trying to delete season 16 all over again.
They battled it out. They came and they brought it this weekend.
Right.
They didn't underestimate a team. That was my biggest worry is coming in. You're a 4-win LSU team. Oh, they're 4 wins.
Right.
4 win. It's a different animal when you're talking about a 4-win LSU team. I mean, there's no other place in the world that LSU team would be a 4-win team but the SEC West. But KJ Jefferson continues to make plays. That's my biggest takeaway right now.
Yeah, 100%.
KJ Jefferson won that ball game for him. He didn't put up just crazy numbers.
Right.
But he was able to do things with his legs. Arkansas could not get a running game going. Think about this. Alabama ran for 6 yards on LSU the week before. 6 yards. Arkansas rushed for 141 last week. And a lot of it was due to the legs of KJ Jefferson.
You're right, because against Bama, those are sacks, and it's backing up that yardage. And KJ turned a bunch of negative 10-yard plays where he should be getting sacked to 2-yard gains and first downs and things of that nature. So, yeah, you're right, exactly right there.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know. But really, it was huge. And then the big play that he made where he got away from a sack and he threw the ball down to Dominic Johnson. Johnson caught it, took it into the end zone. That was one of the biggest plays of the game. There were several big plays in that ball game. But if it wasn't for the legs of Jefferson, he does not make that play. And who knows, Arkansas may not win that game because it really did come down to 1 or 2 or 3 plays here and there that Arkansas was able to make that LSU was not able to make is what caused the difference.
Right. Yep, exactly. And I agree. That's my biggest take as well. Then you had, of course, we didn't even talk about this really. We probably should bring it up real quickly, but we played 4 down linemen the entire game. We really haven't done that much at all here and there. And we blitz, and they played man-to-man, and that was the game plan going in. And because of guys like Mo Brown, who he might not have had a catch against him the whole game. And he has that interception. Greg Brooks has his. Because of that, our defense was lights out. It's kind of like that Ole Miss game, and Pittman said this in a presser, and I liked it, was – how much better does this feel? Even though it was you can call it an ugly victory offensively. Defense wasn't ugly. But how about the feeling of that locker room compared to the Ole Miss locker room when we score 50 points but you lose by 1? You know, I'll take this any day of the week. So, anyways, KJ, man, he's just evolving every week, getting better and better. And, man, going into next year, I'm going to be really excited if he's set up, coming back and everything like he should.
Again,
he will be.
There's going to be a stable of running backs that are going to be around him. You think your offensive line's going to be pretty good again next year.
Yes.
Who's he going to throw to? That's going to be a big question there for Arkansas because Burks really does gobble up basically everything. I mean, he is like 1A, 1B, and 1C when it comes to.
Yeah, and they shut him down basically in that game.
Yeah.
And, but, you know, he draws so much attention. It opens some other things up as well. But, you know, I'm excited about some of these freshman wide receivers. You know, we've seen Bryce Stevens. It was only his 3rd game to play. He's back there returning punts. Had a couple good punt returns. He had one that scared me. He kind of dived in and got it. But he did catch it. He looked impressive the way he caught it. But that guy is going to be – he's going to help the offense next year. And Keytron Jackson, we've already seen him a little bit. Caught that touchdown against UAPB. He's going to help as well. So – hopefully we'll get some more guys in there as well.
Cam Little.
Yeah.
You got to say something about him, right?
100%.
If it wasn't for him, you know, they may not win that ball game. He's been so good this year.
Best freshman kicker that I can remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
Including Hawker. Hawker's best year was his freshman year, was it not?
His last year was his best year. Well, he was good freshman year, had like a slump, and then he came back and was really strong his last year, his senior year.
But you're right. I mean, Cam Little has been Nell's #1 kicker in the nation. You know, that's something that seems like Arkansas gets a #1 kicker.
Right.
Very good.
Right. That's happened a few times.
Who was the kid that kicked for Bielema? I think
he was from Texas.
#1 kicker in the nation.
I cannot remember his name.
Oh, I yelled and
he never even played hardly. I mean, he did a little bit, but
so bad at the TCU game in 2017, and I felt bad about it because I had got emotional about it because he was so bad. But anyway, of course, he went to North Texas and actually,
came in and stuck it to us a little bit.
Stuck it to us. And
that was kind of a theme there for a while.
Coaching, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, don't want to go there.
Right.
But anyway, so we're gonna move on here, but we're gonna get a word from our sponsors real quick. We want to thank Razor Polish for being a great sponsor to us. And tell you what, if you're looking for polished concrete floors, they are the people to go to. And just sit here, watch this message, and we'll be back here in just a moment. And we're back here on the RazorWire. Thank you again for joining us. Here, again, polished concrete floors. I tell you what, Bruce Carruthers, he's the guy. I tell you what, he knows his stuff there. 479-880-7113, I believe, was the number on that. But anyway, make sure that you contact them. And again, Old Bank, thank you for letting us come once again here. Like I said, for about the last 2 months here, we've been joining the Old Bank, and I'm trying to get these levels just a little bit better here. So we thank you guys for that. Let's move on here to the Alabama game real quick.
Yeah.
And you know, that's a game nobody expects Arkansas to win. I mean, we came into the season, we said, there's just no way. I mean, we just don't think that's one of those games that Arkansas is going to win. I mean, you even had Arkansas at 9-3, and that was one of the losses that you had. You can't really expect Arkansas to win this ball game. You win in Tuscaloosa, I think, #1, because they're so good. You got Nick Saban involved there. But #2, I don't think the SEC is going to allow it. If you really want to know the truth.
Right.
I mean, you're going to have a 1-2 matchup in the SEC championship game, or you're going to allow Arkansas to beat them. If it's a close game, Arkansas is not getting the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and Alabama's they're the one that they don't get messed with anyways to start with, especially when they're playing good. And you know, they got the one loss, but they're, like you said, they're poised to play in the championship game, and whoever wins that obviously is getting in the playoff for sure. And And honestly, I personally think, I don't know if you disagree with me this a few weeks back, but I think if Bama makes it to the championship game and they beat Georgia, both of them are getting in.
I do. I agree with that.
Okay.
Now, if Alabama loses that game, I don't think they get in.
Yeah, I don't either. Unless there's just a lot of build up, losses.
Then what happens is you move them to 4, and then they would go 1-4. Like if Georgia won the SEC, then they obviously be the 1.
Yeah.
Then you would have to move Alabama to the 4 probably and play them again. I don't know if they do that.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And honestly, I wouldn't want them to get in with 2 losses, but I kind of don't like Bama very much at all.
Right. It's easy not to.
Especially since Saban took over, they've grown up my hate list. But anyways, I like Pittman. What he said this week was really interesting. Is they asked him, or the interviewer told him about the odds of Arkansas winning national media. What everybody's saying, 7% chance is not big. What's your take on all that kind of stuff? And he was basically like, hey, we lost by 50 his first year here when he was the O-line coach under Bielema. Second year, we lost by 1 point. And the only difference was we believed we could win.
Right.
If you don't believe you can win that game, he was saying, everybody kind of has had a game like that either in high school or on some level where you're going to a team and you're like, oh, man, I wish we weren't playing them, And if you have that mindset, it's over. And he doesn't think this team's that way at all. He definitely thinks they can go in there and get the win. So I think we have a chance. They lost to A&M. We beat A&M by 10. If KJ doesn't get hurt in that game and go out for about a quarter and a half, I think we win that game by 20. Yeah. I really do. And so, I mean, if it wasn't at Bama, I would feel a lot better and more excited. But, I definitely think we have an opportunity. I also think Bama has seen a lot of stuff on tape that, Saban's the best coach in America, has been for a long time. And, they're going to be game plan for that. They've got so many weapons, man. Their D-line, they've got an end that's just, I want to say it's Alexander. He's just a beast. Yeah. Anderson or Alexander. And, he's so hard to block, and he causes so many issues. And their linebackers are all good. And then, of course, you've got their quarterback who's he's just a freshman, but, man, he's throwing touchdowns. He's setting all kinds of early records and stuff there, and he can make every pass, different angles, does all kinds of special things for him. So it's going to be a very tall task. I definitely think we have an opportunity with a great game plan. If we can get a couple turnovers go our way, we can be in this game late in the game. We really can.
And that's the key at this point is you got to get yourself into the game in the fourth quarter. I mean, a lot of times, there's very few times as a team that's an underdog like Arkansas just comes back furiously in the fourth quarter and wins a ball game. You've got to be there, right there in the fourth quarter. And, this is a 2:30 ball game. It's going to be
pretty raucous.
It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that there are probably some people in that stadium that realize that this is not the same Razorback team that has come in there. I do think there's going to be some, though, that are going to look over Arkansas, including there's going to be some guys on Alabama that's going to this is Arkansas, this is the same old boys, and I don't think Arkansas is going to win the ball game. I don't, but I don't think that they're going to roll in there and get beat 52-6 either. That's been the thing with Arkansas over the years with Bama. They've never even given themselves a chance.
Right.
I mean, it's been bad. I mean, even last year was 52-3, I think, but that was COVID issues.
Yeah, the best we've done in a long time was the year that Austin Allen put like 31 on them, and they still put like 60 on us, or 50. It was like 52-31, something of that nature. And I mean, I know Saban was ticked about that because we carved up his defense, but it didn't matter. It's been a long time. But the good thing about the 2:30 game is their stupid lights at their stadium won't be as big of a factor.
Right.
God, it's so annoying. But
big LED lights. They got.
I just, we've got a chance. I think we're going to go down there. We're a physical team now. That's always going to help you. It's going to be more. We're going to have more of KJ. He is going to have to take over, and he's going to have to not be afraid to go out there and feel like he's been in a war when it's over. Because if he don't do that, if he doesn't get hit and really have some design runs, pull it on some read plays and scramble like he's been doing, and just really lay it all on the line. This is a game where you got to lay it all on the line to get a chance at a victory.
Yeah.
If there's anybody holding up at all, it's not going to be pretty.
Call me crazy. I think they played a better defense against LSU than what Alabama is. Now, they're better coaches on that side of the ball at Alabama. Sure, I think there are. But when it just comes down to like just the defense and player for player, I think LSU's got better defense than what Alabama has. Now, obviously Alabama has better players than Arkansas, and so that makes a difference. But again, I want to go back to the fact that this was a very similar game.
Right.
LSU and Arkansas.
It really was.
Alabama and LSU. It was almost the same ball game.
If we can keep, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
go
off,
ahead.
but and that's the thing is if we can hit some of those plays. I know Bama's not going to do exactly what LSU does with their defense. But I do think when they see how bad we struggled, that they're going to do a little bit of that. You know what I mean? And they'd be crazy not to, a little bit. Now, I know they do their own thing in their own way, but I expect some zero coverage here and there and some man-to-man, and KJ's going to have to find the read and make that play happen. Now, they're talented enough that they don't have to do it or they don't feel like they need to do it that way a lot, as much as LSU does right now. But, heck, what LSU's doing is impressive. Anytime you hold Bama to 6 yards, it's just – like you look at that stat and you're like, that's not right. There's no way that didn't happen. Even though they lost and Bama won. But so I mean, it's just going to take a lot of us just having a great game plan, going in there, working on those things, and because like you're saying, the Bama LSU game was so close to what we looked like against LSU. That makes you feel a little bit better that we got a good chance. And if we can hit some of those plays, like those screens, and block them up and do those things, kind of open things up, we got a chance to be there.
Tommy Bean says you're welcome. So you said
and he said how are we going to play out Bama, which is what we're talking about. Bill Harshaw,
a prayer, bro, a wing and a prayer.
Bill Harshaw says 45-17 Bama, so he's gotten completely off the wagon for today.
Yeah,
but,
get out of here with that mess. 45-17 mess. I don't know.
I hope not.
It very well could be. I mean, every game that Arkansas
think about 2011
has played since other than 2014 game, you go back to 07. Trying to think off the top of my head about what the close games were. 2010 was a close game. Other than that, there hadn't been that many close games.
Saban took over in 07, and we lost. That was the one we lost, like 41-38.
And they lost to stinking UL Monroe that year, and they still beat us.
Right. Yeah, McFadden got leg cramps late in that game. He was unbelievable. Had over 200 yards rushing and receiving. That was a game we had we were way down. That was the problem. If we hadn't got so far down, we had the Crosby Tuck catch. It was a freshman. It was his second 41-yard touchdown off of it was like a double pass or something like that. And I think that was his last game he played. That's when he got hurt. But anyways, we come storming back, and McFadden he's still one of my favorite runs he ever had was in that game where he puts the shoulder down and runs over the Bama safety. It was a linebacker or safety, I don't remember, but just crazy, man. And the announcer was just awesome. Just like, man, look at him go, But, yeah, I mean, it's been a tough road to hoe since Saban has taken over.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some
I
of these
still
scores.
hate that 14 game that we had the Cody Walker fumble on the 1 foot line.
Yes.
We lose that game by 1 point, Just little plays like that, you can't do them if you want to beat a program like Alabama.
Look at some of the scores. 16 was 49-30. 15 was 27-14. 14 was 14-13. But it's usually a 20, 30-point ball game.
Right.
I mean, every time. So, it's a tall task, obviously, to go into Tuscaloosa, ask your team to win that ball game, but they were able to do it. We got a name that I can't read, says 31-28 Hogs. So,
big.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I saw that earlier, and I had to just go away from that because I've been struggling with Supini and things like that in the volleyball tournament, so there was no way I could even attempt on that name. We apologize. Yeah, man. You want to do predictions on that now, or you want to wait till the end? Get into basketball for a second?
Let's get into basketball, and we'll talk predictions here. And the Hog basketball team picked up a big victory over the University of Northern Iowa yesterday, a team that is a tough team.
Right.
Now, they haven't started off that well, but they had some injuries throughout. I think they were fully healthy last night, and my God, did they put on a shooting exhibition.
Yeah.
17 three-pointers last night in a 80-point game, so that means 51 of their points came off three-pointers last night. I've never seen anything like it, and I said this on Twitter, and I'll say it again. If Arkansas plays this game anytime but probably the last 2 or 3 years, over the last 25, they lose the ball game.
Right, 100%. I agree. And then you have a guy like Devo who gets ejected in the early in the second half, and he's one of those guys that can play D on the D line. On the 3-point line pretty well. But obviously they were already hitting him before he went out. But yeah, it was unreal. Our 3-point defense has definitely got to shape up. But Northern Iowa also was just unbelievable. They reminded me a little bit of ORU last year. Man, they could just light it up from behind the arc. Had a great game plan, and but we dug down. Note kind of took over him and Chris Likes, and we talked about that early in the season, that I really feel like this team is more of an offensive-minded team. When you bring in a Likes, he can play pretty good on-ball defense, but he gives up a lot on that 3-point line especially. So I feel like this team can really be an 85-plus a game type scoring team, and we saw it last night.
The 3-point defense really does concern you, and that's something that has been a bugaboo so far.
The Mercer game really was bad.
I mean, everybody's hit more than like multiple, double-digit threes since
Musselman's got to be just losing sleep over it, because I know that's a big deal for him.
Oh yeah, I mean the first year he came in here, the defense was what carried the ball team.
Right.
Since then, not as much, but. I mean, last year they were a much better offensive team than they were the year before, so it didn't matter as much. You can't allow 17 three-pointers and win a lot of games. I actually thought Arkansas was going to lose the ball game because you and I just kept putting pressure on Arkansas. And the fact that, like you said, Devo goes out of the game, it's a credit to this team that they won that ball game without Devo.
Yeah,
they
really
also Note turned into a distributor at the end of the ball game.
9 assists.
Almost a triple-double last night.
Yeah.
That kid has become Arkansas's best player right now.
Right.
And I wish I'd see a little bit more of that from him, because he can do that.
Yeah.
He's never seen a shot he didn't like. But down the stretch, of course, I have to laugh a little bit because he doesn't like to pass. I mean, that's just the bottom line. He does not like to pass. And they were making him pass the ball. Mm-hmm. And he was making the play when he needed to make it. I mean, they were double teaming him, and he finally would pass. I was like, Kobe, get rid of it. You know what I mean? Get rid of it, Kobe.
Oh man.
So anyway, but he's been phenomenal for Arkansas so far this year. Best player on the team so far, and I say that. I mean, Chris Likes has been phenomenal as well. He had a great game last night and hit a huge three. Arkansas down 75-72. His game's getting late down the stretch there.
That's
when
he started that run.
Three, and then, like you said, it just kind of kept on. The fire and the fight in this team is great. Now, what I'd like to see this team do is blow somebody out.
Right. Yeah, especially. I'd like to see like 100 to 65, something of that nature. We haven't really seen that yet. They got a lot of weapons, and they're still trying to figure it out. It took a long time last season to really get that gelled together. Basically, when Smith went out and came back in, they kind of were, basically before he went out, they were starting to hit that stride. And then we saw the difference when he was out and he came back, and they'd figured out how to play together. That rotation had kind of dwindled down to about 8-9 guys. And, early in the year they were playing 10, 12. And kind of the same way this year. So Jalen Williams, we need to talk about him a little bit. He did have some great moments, especially in the first half of that game. Just if you don't have him out there, I mean, he's really a big difference maker as well. But definitely, Note, man, he's playing the best right now. And I kind of thought Devo would, but Devo's kind of been struggling a little bit offensively. So as I think that's going to evolve. And, I just think we're going to be really, really formidable in the SEC this season.
It's roles. They've got to figure out roles on the team. That's the biggest thing. I thought Amude played pretty well last night.
Yeah.
And then Tony has been a very big time player.
More
for
than I even
Arkansas
thought he
this
was going to be.
Audis Toney has really played well for Arkansas this year and kind of filled that third scoring role there, but also rebounding the ball very well.
Right.
Plays more like a 4 than a 3.
Yeah.
But he's been really good. But I really was glad to see Amude play well last night. We need him.
Yes. Oh, he's to me, he's the closest replacement to Smith on this team, on this squad. And that guy is so blessed. He can score in many different facets, and we definitely need him to get confident early on in this and just keep going and just keep filling it and get a little bit better every week. He's definitely one of my key guys, and I love the whole small ball approach. Vanover started again last night, but he came out pretty quick. It's kind of that's a weird thing because he had such a great game the game before.
Same thing he did in the tournament, though. It seemed like that
he's like our jump ball guy.
It was yeah, but it was almost like, look, he's going to make his impact early or he's going to get out.
And it's kind of like he feels, or how are they going to play him? Are they going to start running the high pick and roll and make him try to defend that? And we know his lateral quickness is an issue. And
slower pace
once
games,
they do that, he's out.
in. The faster pace games,
Right.
he's out. Last night for Arkansas, there were 8 players that played in the game. 6 of them scored in double figures. That does include Diovo Davis, who only played 23 minutes comparatively to Lykes' 31, Amude's 29, Note's 39, Tony's 38, and Williams is 24. And that was another thing, is Williams went out for quite a while there, and you're like, what in the world here? What is going on? Mm-hmm. You've got Williams out, you got Devo out. How are you going to win this ball game? They still were able to overcome and win the ball game.
Yeah, it's just an impressively deep team, and they just found a way to win. And Note, man, if he doesn't become the distributor he does with the way they were playing him, we don't win. And Chris Like stepped up, and he was getting a lot of the benefits from Note.
Yeah. So, again, get your predictions in real quick here. Arkansas, Alabama. We're going to go ahead and go to prediction time here as we get ready to wrap the show up. I can't sit here in good conscience and tell the truth and say I think that Arkansas is going to win this ball game. I think that Arkansas's got a chance to make it a better ball game. I'm going to say that Arkansas loses the game 31-17.
It's really close to kind of what I was thinking about in my head a little bit. I think we're going to have our moments. We're going to battle, and I think we are going to struggle offensively in this game. But it's not going to look nothing like the Georgia game. It's nothing like that at all, which most years it would have against Bama. I do think we've got some confidence going into this game, but I think we will we've done it all year where we'll move the ball between the 20s, but we kind of fizzle out. I think we're going to have a few too many field goal attempts, a few too many drives, end up short of pay dirt, and I'm going to say Bama kind of pulls out late and runs out. You said 31-17?
You're going to say 31.5 to 17.
I was thinking like 30-20. We'll just go there.
30 to 20.
Kind of cut you off a little bit, but that wasn't my intention.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, and I would love to come back here and say, we eat crow. I'll tell you what, really, when you think about the implications for Arkansas are huge. I mean, you win this game, you're really in a great position to be in the Big Six Bowls. Very possible that they could do that, or at least move themselves up into that very upper tier right below that.
Right.
And then, there's still a small outside chance that you could win the West with an Ole Miss, one more Ole Miss loss, which could very well happen against Mississippi State.
Yeah.
No, it actually had to be 2 losses. It had to be 2. Who is Ole Miss playing next? Vanderbilt?
I don't know who they're playing next.
I got to find it now.
But
Ole Miss has to lose 2.
Yeah.
Okay. You talk about that 1 point. You end up making a difference if you beat Alabama. That 1 point against Ole Miss is a huge difference there. I'm going to try to pull this up real quick here before
they lost.
We go. They got Mississippi State. I know they've got them left. They have.
Yeah, they'd have to lose 2 more, wouldn't they?
They have to lose 2 more, and Vanderbilt's the other one. So that's not going to happen.
More than likely, no.
Anyway, so Ole Miss, we'd actually open it up for Ole Miss to win the West.
We talked about that when we lost that game. That game was, we said before they played it, like on the podcast here, that like the Thursday before, that whoever wins this game is in the driver's seat to get second in the West behind Bama. We didn't know that Bama was going to slip up against A&M the way they did. And that game could have been for first. And that's kind of where Ole Miss is right now. They're begging Arkansas to beat Bama. You know, that puts them in a position, even though, well, it really does, because they would have to lose 2. They could even lose 1 as long as we beat Bama, and we're going to have a tiebreak more than likely.
So unless something insane happens, that's not going to happen. So anyway, so for those that are watching and those that will watch down the line here, tomorrow night we've got playoff football action.
Yeah.
Live from Fordyce, Paul Bear Bryant Stadium. How cool is that?
Yes.
We're going to be live at Fordyce with Hector versus Fordyce. And that's going to be a fun 2A second-round matchup. And then next week, we're going to take a week off. We're not going to do the RazorWire. Thanksgiving Day is actually a week from today. So we won't be doing the RazorWire next week. We'll come back the next week, and we'll be back to work. And so anyway, we're looking forward to just having a little bit of time off, a little bit of time with the family, and enjoying some time just to kind of clear minds a little bit, because we've been busy over the last couple of weeks. It's been a lot of fun. If you don't know, if you're watching, we do 4 different live streams. We do locally Russellville, nope, not yet. We do Dover, Atkins, and Pottsville, and then we do a statewide stream where we are going to the Fordyce game for the playoff game. So anyway, all of our local teams have moved into basketball except for Hector. Hector's not part of this. They're kind of a fringe part of our local area, but we're going to join them on the broadcast tomorrow at Fordyce. So anyway, join us. If you like playoff football, join us. And we're going to be excited to bring you live playoff football from Fordyce and Paul Bear Bryant Stadium. So I got one more thing. Okay. And I always tell my boss at work, who's from Alabama, a big Alabama fan, that if it wasn't for Paul Bear Bryant in Arkansas, Alabama wouldn't be what they are. So very true.
If any Bama fans happen to stumble on this, just remember that.
All right. Well, we're going to say goodbye. Thank you for joining us right here on the... And don't know why it won't do it.